أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة من ذلك من آيات الله من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم الأمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, it's a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given me and you the ability and tawfiq to participate in this gathering, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this gathering a source of guidance for all of us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this gathering one of the means of our entry into Jannah. Tonight I want to share with you a very powerful ayah. This ayah is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helping the young people. I know I'm not that young anymore, but I can see that there are, mashallah, 2 or 3 young people. Our Malaysian brothers, they never look old, so they always look young. So this ayah is especially for all of you. But seriously, this ayah is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helping young people. Now, the ayah that I've taken, it's from Surah Al-Kahf. It's the 17th ayah of Surah Al-Kahf, and we all know the people of the cave that are described in Surah Al-Kahf, they were not prophets. You know, when we talk about Anbiya Kiram alayhi salatu wasalam, somehow in our mind we think that we can never reach their level, which is absolutely right. We can never reach the level of Anbiya Kiram alayhi salatu wasalam. But these people, the people of the cave, they were not prophets. They were just believers. And they were living in a time when there were no prophets around. So they were living kind of like our times. We are living in a time when there are no prophets. We are believers when we don't have prophets around. They were living in a time when there were no prophets around them. They just wanted to hold on to Islam. And only because of that reason, everyone turns against them. And they get themselves in trouble even with the king of that time. So everyone is against them, even the king is against them. So now they are out in a cave. They are living in a cave. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decides that if you turn towards me, meaning that if they turn towards Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them through impossible odds, through impossible circumstances. Again, these people, they didn't have any scholars with them. They were just a bunch of young guys. Innahum fityatun. They were young guys. They were not really old in age, they were not even spiritually sage people. You know, like we have a term in Islam, Sufis. They were not even like Sufis, they would make dua to Allah and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will immediately accept their dua. They were just a bunch of young people. They just believed in Allah and they finally decided to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and committed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, okay, because now they are turning towards me, now I'm going to guide them. And I will guide them through impossible odds. And subhanAllah, whenever I read this ayah, even though it's a small ayah, whenever I read this ayah, it makes me realize that in our faith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help us in ways that we cannot even imagine. We cannot even anticipate. The condition is that you turn to Allah. You commit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now, these people, they are in trouble. They are out in a cave. So you may ask me that, Mulana, what is so miraculous about it? They are in trouble. They are hiding in a cave. What is so miraculous about it? So we know one miracle. The miracle is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them to sleep and they slept for many, many, many years. This is one miracle. But this ayah is not talking about that miracle. This ayah is talking about a different miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to them. So I need your attention now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَرَى الشَّمْسَ. You will see that Shamsa إِذَا طَلَعَتْ. When the sun will rise, تَزَاوَرُ عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ. It will bend around them towards their right. Let me make some kind of presentation for you. The sun, it is rising. It has its light. It's not like sun is rising and then the cave comes and it skips the cave. The sun is still there. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bend the light of the sun to go around them. because they are sleeping. Now the light is not entering the cave. They are sleeping and the light is not. Because zawara in Arabic language, to go around someone, to bend around someone. Allah will bend the light to go around them. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do for them in the morning when the sun is rising. وَإِذَا غَرَبَتْ Now in the evening when the sun sets, تَقْرِدُهُمْ Sun gives them another favor. قَرْد Urdu mein to hum udhar ko kehte hain qard. But in Arabic language, qard means giving someone a favor. Even in the evening, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, sons give them a favor. ذات الشمال and goes to their left. And then the ayah says, وَهُمْ فِي فَجْوَةٍ مِّنْ This is even more amazing because they are sleeping in a wide open space. They are in the middle of the cave and it's wide open. And if the space is wide open, technically speaking, the sun rays should enter. The light should go through. They are living or they are sleeping in a wide open space and the sunlight is not coming. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bend the sunlight to go around. This is what Allah will do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do for them. And then Allah says, ذَلِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ This is one of the miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مَنْ يَهْدِ اللَّهِ Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide, فَهُوَ الْمُهْتَدِ He will remain committed to the guidance. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلِ اللَّهِ And whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguides, فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُ وَلِيًّا مُرْشِدًا He will not find anyone to protect him. If Allah misguides someone, you will not find anyone to protect that person or to guide that person. Because in this ayah, Allah is not only protecting them from the king, Allah is even protecting them from the rays of the sun. So subhanAllah, when you look at this ayah, the power of this ayah is that sometimes I think about it and I say that when you commit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will even guide you in your sleep. When we talk about guidance here, the guidance is not that I believe in Allah and in my heart I just believe in Allah. This is not the guidance that we are talking about here. Immediately in the next ayah, Allah says, وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتِ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ Let me give you an example first and then I will explain. You know when you sleep, you turn in your bed, you turn left and you turn right. Allah says, when you commit to me, when you turn towards me, I will even guide you in your turning. وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتِ الْيَمِينِ These people, the people of the cave, they are sleeping and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding them how much they should turn. They should turn this much and then that much, and then this much and then that much. This is how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you. But the condition is you commit to Allah. When you turn back to Allah, Allah will guide you in your sleeping. Allah will guide you in your turning. This ayah is so powerful. The young people of this ummah, if they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the entire world will submit to them. Even the laws of nature will submit to them. Because they have submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to learn from the people. I don't need to say anything else. It is remarkable how Allah is protecting them from the rays of sun. Every time I read this ayah and I say to myself, look at the qudrat of Allah. Look at the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If He decides to guide you, then He will guide you, no matter what. He will guide you. But we need to learn from the example of the people of cave. What does it mean to commit yourself to Allah? What does it mean to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because they really turn to Allah. We say we are turning to Allah, but then something shows up and then we say, okay, some other time. We are coming to the masjid to read our salah and something shows up and oh, chalo yaar, some other time. What does it mean to turn to Allah? Learn from the people of the cave. Once you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will see what Allah will do for this ummah and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do for you. You know, today we are always whinging and complaining. It's a very relevant topic for us because we are living in the West. Very recently, an incident happened in London outside of the, Parliament or whatever. Outside of the Parliament, this incident happened. And again, people started talking about Muslims and people started talking about Islam. But I always tell people, yes, I understand that this is a challenge. I understand this. Everything that is going around us, it's a challenge for all of us. But my biggest complaint, even when they stopped me in the airport, every time it happens, so it's a normal thing for me. I'm not saying anything against anyone. It's a very normal procedure. I come back, they take me to a room, and then there is a long interrogation, almost an hour interrogation, and I actually know all the questions that they are going to ask me. So it's a very normal procedure. But even when they ask me this question, what do you think about the things that are happening in the world, especially in the Muslim world, especially the terrorism that is happening in the Muslim world and outside the Muslim world, and it's happening from the Muslims, and it's coming from the Muslim. What do you think about it? And I always give them this answer. I understand that this is a challenge. There is a huge challenge, not just the challenge of terrorism, the place where we are living in, there are different masajid. There are different groups. They all have their own brands of Islam. Sometimes we get confused because the only thing that they are doing is that making their alliance or making their groups. So it's very easy for people like us to just sit outside and say, all these scholars and all these mosques and all these groups, they just bash each other and they fight each other. So why should I even bother? Why should I even learn about Islam? And I understand that this is a challenge. And it happened before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this idea in the Quran, that the knowledgeable people are fighting, and then the next generation dropped the deen altogether. It happened in the ummah of Bani Israel, in the nation of Bani Israel. وَمَا تَفَرَّقُوا إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ. They never argued with each other. Never. إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمِ. Except after knowledge came to them. بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. And they are arguing with each other out of arrogance, out of rebellion. They want to rebel against each other. And then Allah says, because they are always fighting, the next generation that came, who inherited the book, لَفِي شَكٍّ مِّنْهُ مُرِيبٍ. They are in serious doubt about this book. They are in serious doubt about this religion. So I understand that there are huge challenges around us. Whenever we see these mullahs and the mosque and these different groups, they have their own brands of Islam and they are teaching their own stuff and they are trying to make their own alliance and following and groups and whatever. But my request to all of you brothers, mashallah, you all are sitting here, and my sincere request to all of you, brother, you are intelligent people. You are intelligent people. You go to schools and then you go to colleges and then you go to universities, then you have your own businesses, then you do your jobs. We live, for God's sake, we live in 21st century. This is a century of information. This is a century of information. Everyone knows everything. It's just a click away from you. Our responsibility, at least our responsibility, is to learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our own selves. Not to cut corners. Not to tell other people that I am better than you because I know the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or you are going into hell or I am going into Jannah because I know better than you. Not for these cheap reasons. You learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to understand your purpose of life. Why you are alive. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put you on this dunya. Why Allah has given you this kalima, la ilaha illallah. And then it doesn't matter. Whatever going on around you, all the corruption that is going on around you, all the terrorism that is going on around you, no matter how hopeless the situation is, from social point of view, from economic point of view, from political point of view, and all you hear is the bad news, and the situation is so desperate and everything. Despite of all of these challenges, you can still become a force of good. You can still become a force of moral reforms, social reforms, economic reforms. It's just a matter of taking the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and believing that this is a means of empowerment. And wallahi, we can do this. We all can do this. If you think that only Imam Sahib needs to understand and learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are wrong. I'm talking to all of you sitting here, young, old, everyone. I'm talking to all of you. It's our responsibility, including myself. It's our responsibility. Sitting in Iqra, it's our responsibility to uplift our community. To uplift our community. To make ourselves live by the rule of mercy. By the rule of justice. To show people what Islam is supposed to be. The biggest problem today we have is that we only talk, we don't show. This is our responsibility. And all of this hijacking of Islam by different other groups, that when they think of Islam, it's only fight, it's only anger, it's only terrorism, it's only this and that and this. All of this negative impression of Islam, negative view of Islam that is being constantly pumped. And it's not pumped by the enemies of Islam. Wallahi, it's an unfortunate reality, but it's being pumped by the Muslims themselves. It's being pumped by the Muslims themselves. But it's our responsibility to learn the deen of Allah, turn back to Allah, and learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You take your deen, it's your deen, it's not only theirs deen. Why do you think that it's only Imam Sahib's deen? I have a biggest complaint against all those parents who can't even teach their kids how to read the Quran. You can send them to the mosque, I understand. Coming to the mosque is important. They make friends here. They live in an environment here. They become friends of mulanas or teachers or Islamic teachers. I understand that this environment is important for them. But when a child comes into a mosque and he doesn't learn anything from home, every single day a teacher signs on his diary and tells that he should learn this and he should learn that at home, and you should at least listen to your child for 5 minutes. We don't have time. Everything is Mulana Sahib's responsibility. Everything is Imam Sahib's responsibility. What are we doing? It's our Islam, it's not just my Islam. And wallahi, I'm not saying this to offend anyone. I don't have any complaint against anyone. What I'm saying is the reality. The people of the Cape, they didn't have any scholars with them. They were young people. But Allah softened their hearts. Allah guided them. And then they committed to guidance. And look what Allah did for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even bent the light of sun. What else do you want from Allah? Even the law of nature bent and submit towards you when you submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we all need to do. Go back into our homes, invest our times into our families, and turn back to Allah. When we turn back to Allah, when we take the deen of Allah, and we stand by it like we are supposed to be stood by it, then all of this corruption that is going on, and all of this media propaganda and everything that is around us, it will not even matter. Because your neighbor will say, I know Muhammad, I know Ahmad, and he's a good guy. He's an honest man. He doesn't cheat, he doesn't steal, and he's always there to help me. Then all of this media propaganda, it will not even matter. But we have to do it. Just talking. I remember when I was in Delhi, just this last story when I finished. See brother, Allah doesn't need us. Allah is giving us opportunity one after the other, one after the other. So that we learn from all of these things that are happening in the world and we empower ourselves by the means of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was in Delhi long time ago, 5 years ago, and I met a guy who was a Romanian, whatever. He was from Romania? Romania. And this guy, he was a son of a minister. He was a son of a minister. And he saw Kaaba in history. And he became a Muslim. He saw Kaaba, somehow the dream impacted him so much that he embraced Islam. After he embraced Islam, his father kicked him out of his house. He said, you are possessed by shayateen, you are possessed, because he's a minister himself. So you are possessed by black magic, you are possessed by shaitan. He kicked him out. But this guy who was in Dundee, he migrated from Romania, came to Dundee. He studied with us in Al-Maktoum Institute. He was doing his PhD at that time. I think he has completed his PhD now. He did his PhD and he made all of this sacrifice just because he wanted to hold on to Islam. People are sacrificing a lot. Allah doesn't need us. There is a whole generation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring forward. إِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. If you turn away from me, I will replace you with another nation. ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. And they won't be like you. They will be better than you. So it's time for all of us. It's high time for all of us that we realize our responsibilities, turn back to Allah, and we learn about the deen of Allah. You know, in your business, every year you want to make a progress. And with a very sad heart, I have to say that we have people, mashallah, who come to the mosque every single day. You attend these gatherings and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you jaza for that. But please, when you attend these gatherings, don't just attend them for the sake of some reward. You know, learn, whatever you learn here, go back and remind your family about it. Think about it, remind your family about it. And it should increase your knowledge. And that knowledge should increase your amal, your action. What I was trying to say is that people who come to the mosque, they pray their salah 5 times a day, for years and years and years, they learn nothing about the deen of Allah. Their level is still there. It's not increasing. They're not learning anything. Allah wants us to see, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Go ahead. Run forward. Try to take a lead from each. When it comes to khayrat, we compete when it comes to materialistic things. When it comes to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is encouraging, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Take a lead. Compete against each other. Learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And wallahi brothers, when you know the deen of Allah, you can hold us imams more accountable. If you don't know anything, we can do whatever we want to do. We can tell you whatever we want to do. We can tell you whatever we want to tell you. But when you know the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I was in the masjid in Pakistan, I don't know where, not in Lahore, somewhere else. And I was reading my salah and it was Fajr salah. And in the first rakat I read Surah Al-Zuha, and the second rakat I read Surah Al-Inshirah. And this brother came up to me and he said, brother, you can't read these surahs in Fajr. Because you know in Fajr you have to read this amount of ayat and this amount of ayat. I was saying subhanAllah. you can hold us more accountable. You can hold us, Imam, more. It was not just the qira'ah. In many other things, you can hold us more accountable. We, Imam, will be on our toes all the time. Right now, I don't care. I can tell you whatever I want to tell you. But when you know the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will make difference, inshallah. So are we all ready for this, inshallah? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us united in this dunya, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even us after.